Time now for our Panther Spotlight, and joining me today is a member of our men's basketball team who played his high school basketball very near to here in Newark. Started his career, like a number of our players, at Malone, and then came with Coach Kaufman to Ohio Dominican. And right now, in just 2 seasons, and Elijah, you probably don't even know this, you've risen to 5th in the Division II era on the career rebounding list here at Ohio Dominican, just in 2 seasons. Yeah, how about that? Elijah Hinton from Newark, Ohio is our guest here on Panther Spotlight. So with that said, I guess I'll just say 2 years on the court here at Ohio Dominican, it's suited you pretty well here in the last couple of seasons.
I'd say I'd agree. I think that it's been a good fit for me, especially following Coach Kaufman. I didn't really have the same type of role at Malone just because, I was a younger guy playing behind a lot of older guys who had a lot more experience. But once I got here, I kind of had that first year where I couldn't play to really, lock into, trying to become that leader and being that guy that, that we kind of played through. But at the same time, doing the things that seniors should be able to do. So.
Was it difficult? I mean, obviously you knew when you transferred from Malone to Ohio Dominican you were going to have to sit out that year because of the in-conference transfer rule. But what was the discussion like between yourself, Coach Kaufman? What were you going to do in that year off to get yourself ready to play those final 2 years here at ODU?
So it was a pretty in-depth talk. We just talked about, some of the things that we felt like I needed to get a lot better at, and a lot of that was on the defensive side of things, and me battling a lot of knee pain, not being able to move well. So one big emphasis for me my first year here having a red shirt was taking care of my body, but finding that in between of being able to get that work in while also taking care of myself. But with that, I was also doing a lot of PT and seeing physical trainers and stuff with the guys over at Elevate. We were going to lift 4 or 5 times a week real early in the morning, and that was targeted towards specific things for my knees, and being able to jump higher, move faster laterally. So just attacking my weaknesses and trying to progress me to becoming the player I am now, after being able to play after that first year.
And it's very interesting to look at you physically now on the floor compared to maybe some pictures I saw to you of in high school at Newark or even your first couple of years at Malone. Physically, you're a completely different body right now than you were just 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago, I don't even think I broke 200 pounds, if I'm being honest. So,
and you're 6'7", so that's a pretty rail, thin frame that you had going on there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it certainly worked out for you the way you've taken care of things the last couple of years. Tell me about basketball. Who played a role in your life for the game of basketball growing up and getting you to this point?
So I'll say I have a couple people that I have to thank for that, but mainly my older brother. He's been that person with me, and not just basketball, but all sports growing up. He was always the one taking me to the gym, getting me working. If there was something extra that I wanted, for instance, a headband or something like that, he made sure that I had it. He was just always making sure I had whatever I wanted and whatever I needed. But the thing that he had was, he'll do all this for me. But at the end of the day, I got to be willing to put the work in. So, he helped me a lot throughout my entire life, getting to where I am now. My uncle also helped me. He coached me a lot while I was younger, instilled a lot of what I have in me today. And then I also have Coach Quack to thank.
Newark head coach.
Yep. He's instilled a lot in how I am as a player now, what I believe in, how I carry myself. He's pretty much instilled a lot of that in me. And him and Coach Kaufman, I think, are pretty similar in what they believe in, how they coach their players. So I'll say that, it's been good transitioning from being under Coach Quack to under Coach Kaufman. I haven't really not lost much. I've just been able to maintain being myself and, the same player I've been my entire college career, high school career. So.
Elijah, having that type of leadership in your family, maybe not right away, or maybe you already have, how do you see yourself now giving back to the game of basketball or giving back to youths who may be not in the best situations that you can kind of help guide them along?
I'll just say, just helping out in any way that I can. In the past, I've had people reach out to me in terms of things that they could do to get better and stuff like that. And I would help people out like that. I have people who, text me now and ask me similar things, kind of things that they could do to get better. Some people that come and watch our games and stuff. And, it feels good just knowing that there's younger people who, to me, I'm just a college basketball player, it's not too much. But to other people, they view that differently. So I look different than other people. So they're coming to me, asking me for advice and stuff, and it makes me feel good, being able to give to them what I was once given, inviting me to their games and stuff. So any way that I feel like I can positively give to those, especially younger than me, that don't have what I was fortunate enough to have growing up throughout sports, any chance I have, I'm going to be able to do that.
Now, Malone wasn't that far away from Newark, but Columbus is a lot closer, and you usually have a pretty good fan base that is sitting behind the bench over there on the other side of the floor. What's it like to play at home in front of your friends and family and those who can come to your games now?
Honestly, I would say, it's a game changer. Gives a different type of adrenaline. And one thing that I can say from experience and 5 years of being in college and playing basketball is adrenaline can take you a long way when it comes to, games, especially like an instance where you're coming from a Thursday game to a Saturday game, you may not be feeling the best physically. Adrenaline can wipe that all out. You feel like a completely different person out there. So, having all those people that I know, have my best interests watching me, I want to go out there and do everything I can to, make them proud. So it brings out a different side of me. So I would say it helps my performance a lot, knowing that I got all those people there watching and supporting me.
What's your experience been like here on campus? You live on campus. You've now been here for your third year. What has Ohio Dominican given to you in the 3 years that you've been here?
I'm going to be honest. Ohio Dominican is a great community, very lovely people, very supportive. As you could see, years past, our basketball team hasn't really been the greatest, but we still had support. And even now, for instance, the football team, a lot of the volleyball team, softball team, they come out and they support us. And, it's not all the time that, we're able to make it to their games because, we'll practice late and stuff like that. So just knowing that, that energy is, reciprocated, that we all have our best interests in each other. It's just good to have that. It's not like that everywhere. Some people, just stay to themselves. But it's a real tight community, I'll say. It's a lot of athletes, so we're all in it together.
Yep. I asked Caleb this last week as you transitioned from your time at Malone to Ohio Dominican. You look around the locker room right now, and you've got Caleb and Terrence and Brady and your head coach and assistant coach. You guys were all wearing red and blue of Malone just a couple of years ago, and now you're getting ready to make a tournament run here in the GMAC this week. Kind of weird to look around and see all those same guys that you started with 4 or 5 years ago, and now you're trying to win a championship with here at Ohio Dominican.
Yeah, it definitely feels weird, but it almost feels like it's not a coincidence. Like it was almost meant to happen. Like Caleb, I came in with Caleb. We were one of I think 4 freshmen, and then after that first year, we were the only 2 that ended up making it. That next year, we were the only 2 sophomores on the team, and then after that, that's when we had split up. But I came in with Caleb. Came over with Brady, and those are guys that I've had pretty tight relationships with. They weren't just, they're on the team, we say hi-bye to each other, like, whenever we get the chance to hang out with each other, we're hanging out, like we're all close. So the fact that we went from one school to another and we're able to, finish this out together the way it started, it almost feels like it was meant to happen. So.
Yeah. And what about the relationship with you and Caleb on the floor? Both similar players, similar position on the floor, but enough different that you can be on the floor simultaneously and both contributing. What's it like playing with him?
I would say I like playing with Caleb. I make it a point before every single game to let him know, like I'll tell him like, best big duo in the conference, we got to go out here and do what, we do. But just because of how close we are, it just feels different than just being out there and, just playing with anyone. It kind of, lights a fire underneath you. It's like, they're going out there battling. I'm out there with them. It brings a different side out of you. So,
yeah, it's been great watching you guys play this year on the floor for sure. So you're a business major, but I know before you get to that, you'd still like to continue your basketball career. What do you like hoping to do post Ohio Dominican on the floor?
So I'm hoping to go overseas. I've been in contact with some agents, and I'm really just filling it out to see who I want to choose, because at the end of the day, this is like a career path I'm taking. So I want to take the best option.
Do you have a place or a country that you kind of like to go to?
I'm going to be honest. I've always wanted to go to Japan.
Okay.
So if I could get there at some point, that would be lovely. But I'm really just looking for a good opportunity, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and it's one of those things I don't think people realize, the opportunities that you guys do have to go play overseas, even if it's just for a few years to continue your career, but it really helps you grow as a person to go to other countries. So, best of luck when it comes to that opportunity as well. We've had 2 or 3 players from Ohio Dominican that have gone overseas. Trent Weaver, Hassan Barents, those are guys that have gone from ODU, play overseas as well. So that's going to be awesome. If you could just kind of sum up this journey that you've had on basketball floor, because you're getting towards the end of your at least college day and careers, how would you sum up your career?
I would say very, character building, I would say, just because I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to go to multiple schools, but also be coached by the same coach who has always believed in the same things. So since my very first year, he's been instilling the same things into me, and as well as I do. Coach Kaufman, he's about more than basketball. He wants you to be, the greatest man you could be possible, on and off the court. So he expects a lot from you, basketball or not, and he can really bring that out of you. So being with him for 5 years, I'll say I've really developed. I've matured a lot. I'll say 100%, especially since my freshman year. I've matured a lot, mentally and physically. And then I'll just say I've learned to become a lot more appreciative of things, so.
Yeah, well, we've certainly appreciated having you here for the last 3 years, hoping to make a good tournament run. And guys, we were watching him. Yeah, he may be soft-spoken, but he's always got a smile on his face. He's always one of the most polite guys we have on the team. And hopefully for those 40 minutes on the floor, you're not quite as polite, but you're smiling because of something great happened. Elijah,
yes, sir.
Thanks for your time, and best of luck this week.
Appreciate it, man.
That's Elijah Hinton joining us here on our Panther Spotlight. We remind you can go to Ohio Dominican Athletics YouTube page. You can check out all of the interviews we've done with both men's players but also women's players throughout this year. Thanks for being with us. This is Todd Bell.